Okay, because what I'm looking at, Mike, is I'm in the, you've got 3 holes here that look like they were used at one time.
So these 2 are where it was.
Correct.
And then I had a bolt in there.
Correct. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm using.
So then I just have to drill a hole here.
Okay, so if we go there, what's that do to you over in the center?
It looks like it'll all fit if you look there. So yeah, I got that setting in there, so that'll all fit.
Okay.
So what we're using is, it is close, but I don't.
So what we're going to have to do is elongate 1 hole. So we've roughed in the position of the cross member here and comparing it to our Muncie transmission. So what we've done here is we've got the transmission supported by a transmission jack. We've checked the height in reference to the tunnel. We are within allowable tolerances here. We have not a lot of room, but we're trying to maintain the original drive angle as close as we can. So we're taking the standard GM mount and we're putting it in between here. And we'd have a slight delta in this application here. There's only probably about a 1/8 of an inch gap difference. So we can make up the difference if we want to maintain this angle as close to the original as we can by putting some shim stock in there. And we're going to do that here for Mike, so we're getting a very precise installation. But again, we're checking against the tunnel up above. An 1/8 of an inch is not, I'll say, a lot of difference. 1 could allow it to come down. It will change the angle by a couple of 1/10 of a degree.
Oh, so yeah. Two and a half?
It looks like more like 2 1/8.
Okay.
You know, I got it roughed in. I mean,
And what are the difference between those 2 holes that are there, I wonder?
if I take the same measurement.
Yep. 1 3/4, so you need about 1/4 of an inch or so.
Yep.
I think we drill another hole.
Okay. 1 3/4. I mean, it's like all over the map. So it's like they almost had different cross member holes, mounting holes. It would have been a whole lot easier.
I don't think I'm going to be able to get that in there, so.
Boy, there's no way you drill another hole there, Mike, because I just measured, you know, these 2 here.
Yeah.
Going off of this back hole. That's the center of the hole.
Oh, wow. Well, maybe we'll see how hard it grinds. I guess I don't even need to mark it then. We just got to go after it.
Well, this is, if I make that line is roughly the center of your hole. So that's that's the center of the hole. So we're going to have to go past that.
Yep.
Obviously. So that's how much material you're going to have to remove. So could you drill that? Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
This is where I'm at, you know, like for instance, if you had thick washers like this, one could put the washers up underneath the cross member and raise it up at either end. So again, just depends on how much of it you want to see or not see. The advantage of putting them on the end is you won't see a shim or anything in the center. We spoke earlier about the plate that spacer plate that we provide in our kit to raise this transmission up into the Chevelles. Upon further inspection with Mike's car, which is a 67 big block conversion car, it wasn't originally a big block, but we're using the stock cross member. And we're finding that where we are right now, we're at about 4 degrees downward angle, which is where we would like to be. We are in close proximity to the tunnel without any modifications. We're giving ourselves enough room there. However, what we found in doing the cross member is that we only need an additional 1/4 inch to maintain this angle and positioning. So in the interest of time, what we're going to do in the short term is provide some additional washers here in the bottom to raise the transmission up. We could have added the spacers here or at the end of the cross member to facilitate this. However, long term, we're going to provide a shim of a 1/4 inch thick to provide the same effect with more robust mounting point. So right now, we're just going to go ahead and add the thickness of 2 flat washers. Turns out this is about 210 thousandths. And so we're going to add that in and run our bolts up. So right now our mount is completely loose. So we're going to go ahead and mount this rubber isolator up onto the transmission. And we are going to need some shorter bolts, Mike. So let's go ahead and get that swapped out. Okay, now that Mike and I have finished with the cross member, we have put a temporary spacer in for the angle, and we've just measured the angle being at a little over 4 degrees. Now his lift is not exactly level, so he's about a 1/2 degree off. So when you look at the reading on that, the angle will be slightly off, but we're well within the specified angle that we're shooting for. Since we're in the undercarriage, the next step here would be to hook up his original mechanical cable off of the original 4-speed. This cable is the original one to the car, and the TREMEC TKX transmission has a speedometer gear drive on the driver's side left, and we're going to install our MDL adapter that will allow for the cable to be connected directly into it. So let's take a moment to install that. TREMEC does send these transmissions out with a plug on the side of the transmissions for those who are not going to use any mechanical drive at all, whether it's for electronics or for GPS. TREMEC in the past used to provide a rubber shipping plug, but people did not realize that that plug was merely for shipping purposes only. So they stepped up their game and provide us with an aluminum plug with an O-ring on it. So in case of those who are not using the gear drive of the transmission, it's shipped ready to go as is. So we're going to head and remove that and we're going to install our adapter. We're just going to put a little O-ring grease on here to allow that to slide in nicely. Now the adapter, when we send these out, the color code of the gears dictate the teeth that we're using on that, and there's a little clip so we can put everywhere from a 17 tooth all the way up to 21 tooth on the, I think it's 16, 16 to 21 tooth, and they're color coded, so we calibrate that to the tire size and axle ratio. What we're striving for is to have the cable spin 1,000 revolutions per mile, which is the industry standard. So let's go ahead and install this in. We're just going to slide it in. It's got a little keeper here, and that just slides right in with the 7-tooth drive gear inside. Snaps in place nicely, and we put our hardware back in and secure it. All right, just slide it right in with the gear drive, get it angled where it needs to be, and just run the capturing nut over the top until secure. And there we are. As we're underneath the car, let's talk about the other speed sensor that is available for this car. It is on the opposing side. It's up here on the passenger side, and it's for an OSS, output sensor, speed sensor that is, output speed sensor. It's a 2-wire analog sensor. It comes with every TREMEC TKX, similar to the ones that came on the TKO, and it's pointed straight up here. It's great for when you want to use either for cruise control, electronic speed sensors for the dash, or it can just be left there if you don't need it. While we're on this side of the transmission, the plug that you see in front of you here is the known as a neutral safety switch. Now, we get commonly asked in the shop to use this as a start circuit. We don't recommend it as a start circuit. It doesn't have the load capacity for a start circuit. It's meant to be as a cruise control shutoff. So if you were running cruise control and if you were to bump this transmission out of gear by mistake, the transmission, then the sensor would then, a switch in this case, would then open the circuit and allow the cruise control to shut off. So in a case like with Mike's car here, there's no need to use it. It can be tie wrapped off, or some people even go ahead and just trim it right at the switch. But most people just make a little pigtail out of it and pull it out of the area so that it's not in anybody's way or becomes damaged. The other feature that the TREMEC TKX has is a reverse switch, so that when you want to run your backup lights, it's a matter of just plugging in the pigtail that we provide here at Modern DriveLine, and there's no polarity to this, simply just a switch, and it's going to snap up here onto this switch here on the main case driver's side left. Again, no polarity to it. The connector we offer is a snug fit. Simply align the terminals and push on there, and it snaps right in place, giving you a weather-tight seal. From there, you're able to connect to the original factory wiring. I'm informed by Mike that this car was originally an automatic at somewhere in the beginning of its life, and so it does not have the wires currently in the car. So he's going to run those down from the column and connect these into it at a later time.
Thanks for watching part 3 of this 5-part series, covering the complete installation of an MDL modified shift position TKX into a 67 Chevelle. Be sure to catch the rest of this series, available at youtube.com/Modern DriveLine Inc., where you'll find a playlist. Subscribe to our channel to be notified. If the next episode in this series is already available, a link will appear now. Thanks for making it modern.